Well, the Group 1 Coolmore headlines a brilliant day at Rosehill. We've got Pride of Jenny back at Caulfield on a hot day. I can't wait to get stuck into the racing. I'm Tom Haylock. This is Layback with Betfair, joined by Liam Clancy, Trent Creven. How are we, Liam?
Very well, Thomas. It's good to be back. I think we're very much turning our attention to Sydney this week with a bit of a lacking card at Caulfield, but very excited for Sydney, and we've got good weather.
$3+ million race day at Caulfield. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a pity the class of the horse don't quite match the amount of money on offer, but there's only so much that the Vic racing clubs can do to bring them in when everyone's up in Sydney.
Is that an early lay-in for you?
Early one of many.
Ooh, he's coming in angry. I love that. Trent, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very well. Looking forward to it. Sydney focus this week. But there is a cheeky little race at Caulfield that we'll touch on in a little bit that has plenty to talk about.
We touched on that. What an interesting race that is with Pride of Jenny returning. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about that race. Small field and a brilliant, fascinating, very interesting horse is Pride of Jenny back from retirement. Let's get to the lay-bins. I'm going to kick things off here. World Pool. Sick of it. I'm sick of the commotion over it and how everyone raves on about it at the TVs and the radio channels. It's no good. Favourites just get hammered. We've seen it time and time again. I'm just absolutely over it. You get the big syndicates that get rebates and kickbacks, and that's why they just hammer favourites. And it's not a good product. It's a high takeout rate. I'm over it. There you go.
I'm with you as well. And Johnny Walter does a really good job following this on Twitter because he comes up with and shows the actual data behind how poor it is for punters. And that's the one thing we need to be worried about, isn't it? So it's very insufferable, the amount of people who are clearly being told that they have to push this in the media and racing. And it's clearly not good for the punter.
Alicant's perfect example. I think $3.28 Betfair starting price, $2.55 World Tote. Like favourites with such a big price advantage, you may as well bet them on Betfair, which is fantastic. So,
and we're obviously going to push our own product here at Betfair, but I mean, you look at the fixed odds across the corps as well, and you can see how unfair it is to the punters backing these. And you lose your best tote product as well because you end up copying this World Pool.
And I know we're pushing Betfair, but World Pool days, obviously roughies are such good value at Betfair, and then you're getting better value on favourites at Betfair against the tote. Like no better place to bet than Betfair on World Tote days. Trent, over to you, mate, before Liam reels off 15 lay-bins.
Yeah, I'll make this short. Shelby Sixtysix, not the horse so much, but just I don't think he should have been running first up. He's coming back off an injury. He hasn't shown any form for a long time. And was basically eased out of the race, pulled up lame. It's just not a good look when he's had so many issues and hasn't really shown a will to race for quite a while now. If he runs again, it's a disgrace, I think.
What's worse? I know he won a trial leading in, but this is a Group 1 race day. We've got two Group 1s. You got a horse like that. We're trying to do so much in the space of animal welfare, Trent, and to see a horse that has won Group 1s in the past. He won a Galaxy. And just off the boil, hasn't done a lot for a long time, needs a wet track, and he's presented on a Group 1 race day with all eyeballs on the product, and he produces that, pulls up. I just think it's an awful look. So agree with you there, mates. All right, mate. Floor is yours.
It's funny. I feel like I'm channeling my inner Tom Haylock.
I'm so proud of you.
Well, first of all, I was at the airport the other day, and you're waiting for your luggage to come around the baggage carousel. And these, I'll send our producer the photo of this so he can put this up as well, so you know what I'm looking at. But these Muppets just stand right next to the carousel. You can barely see if your bag's coming, let alone. And then they just get in the way, and it's the whole way around. And it was just like you get in late at night from a long haul flight, and all you want to do is just get your bag and go. You can't even see. So these people can get right in the lay-bin.
Airports are a walking lay-bin. Like just everywhere you look, there's just lays.
Yeah, anytime you come back from the airport, you've always got like a pocket full of them.
Yeah, you need to do a layback with Betfair after visiting the
correct.
airport to get things off your chest.
We'll go to Caulfield next, and as some SA boys sitting on the panel, we all know that there's still only one showdown. So whatever they try and do there at Caulfield, it's the Crows versus the Port Power, and that's all that the showdown will ever be. Sadly, the 2-year-old crop is just no good this year, and they're the B grades of the 2-year-olds that go down to the showdown. So you can see the MRC are trying their best to at least promote the product. It's not there this year, so it's nothing to look forward to. So just check into the Crows Saints and see what the Crows do to them on the weekend. And finally, Chaya Wolf is a bit of a conversation at the moment with Wayne Hawkes coming out and giving an almighty smack to the horse that had a setback over the mile, came back to the 1,300 metres for a prep run. And all of a sudden, he's having a crack and saying that this horse is going to be no good. And I really did enjoy Joe Pride getting up on his soapbox and giving Wayne Hawkes a bit of a whack on the way through. So could have been a what caught my eye, but we'll chuck him in the lay bin this week, Wayne Hawkes.
Oh, good one. Don't mind that. Love a bit of banter on the social media. It's great for racing as long as it's respectful. All right, let's head to Flemington now. Going to be a very hot day on Saturday. Good for, they'll put a lot of water on the track, I suspect. Sorry, Caulfield, I said Flemington, I think. Caulfield, obviously, for their Vobis Day. Very hot. How do you think the track's going to play, Len?
Well, very hot. You want to be, you got the rail out 6 metres for the entire. So I think it would be to their advantage to be going to the front and then just trying not to get run down. I think anyone who's in the back half of the field is going to have a really decent task ahead of them to reel in the leaders.
Just monitor times early in the day, because if they do put a lot of water on it, which they will have to, it's going to be interesting to see whether they do lead and get off fence, which they can do when it chops up a little bit. Very intrigued. Anything to add on the track?
No, I think just default to being on speed at Caulfield. There is a little bit of wind, but I think it's even less than that meeting we had a couple of weeks ago, and that still proved that fast horses on speed are more advantage than any wind can be. So, on speed.
Fair enough. Well, the talking point, obviously, Pride of Jenny is back in the Group 2 Peter Young Stakes. 800 metres. What did you make of the trial, Liam? What do you make of the race?
Yeah, the trial was everything that you would want to see from a horse coming back, a free running, front runner type. So Jenny looks to have had everything you would like to see coming back. There's a couple of different ways to take Jenny, and I'm sure you could certainly have this debate over a pint at the front bar. But the two failures that you would call it last preparation was in the Cox Plate, and I think they went 12 and a half lengths fast to the 800 there. So any front runner would be forgiven for chopping up there. And in previous occasions when she went out that quick, she was 15 lengths ahead of the field rather than having them right on her tail and some world-class horses obviously flashing by. And then you go to the Champions Mile where she bled. So for mine, I can very easily excuse both of those. Comes back to the races first up at 1800 rather than the traditional 1400 that she would be. I'd be more concerned about the lack of a first up win rather than has she come back or not. And then you've got the likes chasing, which no one is really going to sit particularly close to Pride of Jenny here.
Is there anyone chasing?
Bois d'Argent's probably the only one that could be close, in my opinion. Zardozi won't want to let Pride of Jenny get too far away. I mean, this is an amazing chance to win a Group 2 for Zardozi. But for mine, I'm more than happy to be with Pride of Jenny here. First up hasn't won, but was 0.1 of a length off Mr. Brightside in a 1400 metre contest. So that form's fantastic for a race like this. And I'm against the narrative that she's gone. And at the $2 that she opened up, sure, that's something you're probably not that keen to take, but we're getting $2.82 on the fair at the moment for a little bit of liquidity. I'm more than happy to chip away at that and hope to see the champion Pride of Jenny back.
Market's going to be fascinating here. I don't know what they're going to do. Obviously, when the money does come for Kiramar, we saw it a couple of times last weekend that the money came and they got the chocolates. I think she has to be right. She's off a bleed. It's an awful look for racing if she tails off here. I don't think Ma would be running this horse, and I know they've got some ownership, some loud voices in the ownership. I'll just say that push for them to run and whatnot in return. But I just for the betterment of racing, I think she has to put in a solid performance. And off a bleed, I like backing horses off a bleed. They have to be fresh. They have to be fit and firing and ready to go. So great points. I think Plenty of Ammo might be the chaser there, just getting the cart, knows how to win. But how do you see the racetrack?
Very, very tough. Obviously, if you're kind of modelling Pride of Jenny off her best form, she's genuine $1.10 chance in this kind of thing.
So is the market going to model her off her best form?
Well, the early market's saying no with the drift. And I think, like you said, the late market's going to be the most key factor in this race more than any kind of rating or any kind of form can be, because like you said, with the Mars stable, it's so telling, this late market. Zardozi is the one set up to run well. She's third up. She hit the line well in the Blamey. But this small field, barrier 2, potentially going to be locked away, it just sets up really badly for her. She could be one that is just climbing all over heels late. I had a look at future history. He's been backed a little bit early. I thought he might be one that could potentially roll the dice and go forward. He has sat on speed in the past, and there was a race at Moonee Valley, one on Cox Plate Day, where he got a very cheap lead and was just able to kick and hold them all off. So maybe if he's the one that sits outside Pride of Jenny, he could be there. But he's into single figures now. It seems short enough. So this is just a race I think I just have to let go. There's no need for me to bet in this race with Pride of Jenny complicating things as much as she is.
Yeah, small field, tricky race. I don't like Zardozi here, and it's giving me another Will vibes. Jamie Mellum. Jamie on from an inside barrier here scares me. 1 from 14 on a good track. And we mentioned it's going to be 36, 37 degrees. If it is firm and tough, I just think that the horses in front of Zardozi will be too slick. And I think Pride of Jenny's a bet, to be honest, at that price. I'm with you, Liam. If she loses and doesn't come back, it's a losing bet. But you just approach it like that.
And Zardozi was, hit the line strong here to blame. He was absolutely entitled to do so. They went lickety split up front, and that's a horse who thrives on that sort of tempo. So, $2.15 for Zardozi seems way too short.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm laying Zardozi, and it could even be a hamburger bet for me. We'll see how we go. Why not? All right, very quick Caulfield run and done. One race. What caught my eye? Who's running with the first stop one here? I don't even know how that ended up in the what caught my eye segment. What's going on?
I'm happy to take charge of this. I didn't put this in here, but our producer was very happy for you to be mocked for putting a $1.80 favourite in your winning hamburger last week. So well done.
Keyword winning. Have you guys won a hamburger yet? No.
No comment.
So I'm getting mocked for declaring a $1.80 shot and laying a horse that you said was a danger.
Yeah, well done, actually.
And didn't place, and I nailed the actual danger as well. So I've nailed that race, and I'm still getting put in the
And you have taken $1.80 about a horse at BSP to $1.55 and looks like the next coming of Phar Lap, and we'll go to what we consider a Vinery Stud Stakes at $1.80 and probably win that too. So,
well, Harry, get stuffed.
Yeah,
our producer.
Exactly. Sometimes when you're on the show, you have to do as the producer says. So that's me doing this.
It wasn't. Maybe it wasn't a hamburger with a lot, but maybe it was just a little cheeseburger with some pickles or something.
Correct.
I'll take it. Now, what we did see is during the week a very, very talented sprinter / stayer. I don't think they ever worked out what this horse was going to do, but has retired. I Wish I Win. It could have been a lay-in because I don't think they ever got the best out of this horse. He had so much ability. I don't think he was set up to succeed. He chipped and changed his approach a few times. But how good was he, Trent, on ratings?
He was very good, and he's kind of been a bit of a horse around the racing and sports office that we like to have a crack at because we never got to see a lot of him. And I think that's a lot of that's due. He clearly had his issues. So we only saw him race a couple of times a year, really. But his win in the TJ Smith Stakes was very strong. He ran to 127 that day, which is, better than anything in the sprinting race currently. And he did that off a very heavy track and off a very strong pace. So the time figure was outstanding, and he kind of just stayed on strongly while the others collapsed around him. It was an awesome win.
Is that why they thought he was a stayer? There's stuff like that.
Well, I think
not a stayer, but a middle distance horse.
Well, actually, I think it worked the other way a little bit because he won this TJ Smith at 1200. It suddenly became all about the Everest in the spring because it's track and distance. Mm. And so if you're running in an Everest for this kind of money, you're targeting the sprint ranks the whole way through. So we never really got to see him really stretch out to a mile because when he came over from New Zealand, he was this, on speed kind of tough miler that could run time. And he got to a Toorak one time and was beaten as favourite. But then he come out and win a Golden Eagle at 1,500 metres beating Fangirl. So he won that TJ Smith due to scenario more than anything, but did it very well in a great rating. And then he kind of got pigeonholed as a sprinter. So yeah, it's disappointing we didn't get to see a little bit more of him, especially this prep. They were looking at trying to get him over 1,600, maybe 2,000, which would have been fantastic. But yeah, another one of these sprinting geldings gone for now, so it's disappointing.
Gets a better run in an Everest, he wins it.
Well, I was heavily on that day, and yeah, Barrier 1 definitely was against him, so that was disappointing. But yeah, it's another one of these sprinters that we're not going to see anymore.
What do you make of I Wish I Win? Anything to add?
No, there's a bit of a narrative going around that it was due to injuries that we didn't see as much of him as we would have liked to. So it's very difficult to comment on that side of things. You just don't know how poor the legs are. But definite shame to not actually see how good the horse was. But we say that about a lot of our sprinting stars. Like Black Cab went to 1,400 once and absolutely bolted in, and we never saw it again. So
her issue was she just was so big that she couldn't train to get over ground.
Yeah.
Anyway, just before I go to you and the third dot point hero, just another thing that caught my eye late last night. The last race at Ascot, Liam. Incredible. Queen's Sacrifice. Race 7 at Ascot. $824 Betfair starting price when you take out commission. The top tote was $230 odd, but $824. The place was as much as the Unitab win dividend. Incredible. $157.25 to place. That is astronomical figures there, and you put $10 each way or win and place on Betfair starting price, and you are laughing, especially compared to 201 fixed on most corporates and 230 top totes. So there you go.
Well, last time we talked about this, you came out and I said, "Oh, I backed this." I'm glad that we haven't seen this time.
If I backed it, I wouldn't have paid $800. All right, Liam, one more.
Yeah, the last thing that caught my eye here was we hop across the border to SA, and there's a training combination that is absolutely flying over there at the moment. There's by the name of Aaron Bain and Ned Taylor, and they've got 5 winners of their last 7, which is obviously great, but that can come and go. But 15 of their last 50, which is so since the start of this year, using Form King data, they've had 43 runners this year for 13 winners, strike rate of just over 30%. So flying there. And they've got a couple of them have got this really good racing style of going to the front and being too strong. So we talk about how well Bjorn Baker's going up in Sydney and Melbourne at the moment. The Taylor and Bain train is absolutely flying. Profit on turnover for this year alone, 65.5%. So, and that's proportionate staking at Betfair SP after deducting commission out of it as well. So average winning div of $6. So insane numbers. And this doesn't even include the 2 winners that they've had this week out of 4 runners, which would improve it even further. So that is a long-winded way of saying Morphettville race 7, number 2, due by Focus this week, $2.50. Drawn beautifully, go to the front and hard to beat. So
love that little tip. Is that in your best bets later?
We might have to pop it in there, but it's a Ned Taylor and Aaron Bain going sensationally well, and hope it continues.
Incredible. So you're sticking with the run?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good time to be on board. They just I don't think the market's quite caught up with them yet, so going really well.
Something in that about going forward and showing initiative and speed. We've seen Bill Baker, that training combo, Dabernig going very well in Victoria, producing the same tactics, putting aggressive and positive riders on and rolling forward and winning races. It's sometimes we overthink things, but there you go. Let's get to Rosehill. Soft 6 at the moment. We'll get to a good track. Rail true. Warm day on Saturday. Any track pattern, Trent?
No, probably just typical Rosehill. I think it's drying out a little bit in Sydney, so it should get probably back to a good range track, and you want to be probably closer to the rail and on speed.
Fair enough.
It's kind of perfect, isn't it? You prefer Sydney to be, in your soft 6 and getting that natural irrigation through the week, because if they're looking at a good 3 now with nothing but really hot weather between now and Saturday, you just don't know how much they're going to put on. Whereas now it becomes a lot more natural and it's better for the track. And you assume that on race day, they might be a 5 getting to a 4. And then by the end of the day, given how hot it'll be, I think we'll be looking at a good 3.
I do get nervous, Rosehill, when it's drying significantly throughout the day. It can play significantly fence in runs, so just monitor that. Let's kick off with race 3, the Pago. 1,200 metres, not a race I'm keen to bet into whatsoever. Are you shouldering arms at this?
I am, yeah. I couldn't really find anything to back in the Pago. Just this common theme of these 2-year-olds not being much good, and I don't really want to back any of them.
Well, Liam's found one coming off Goulburn?
Yeah, there's
Something
some pretty ugly winners coming here. There's a
you're back one off a provincial.
There's a provincial
Grafton.
winner and there's a Warwick Farm midweek winner. So
this is how good we're going.
Well, I think that's exactly to Trent's point. The 2-year-old exposed form that we've seen is pretty poor. We're going into one of the what looks like a lower rating Golden Slipper that we've come across. So I'm happy to start to look wider, especially when we're getting some big prices like this. The lead ups here, like the Silver Slipper and the Skyline Stakes, they'll both run at just farcically slow tempos. So it's hard to know what's under the hood of most of these horses. So taking anything below $4 just seems absolutely crazy to me. So I'm going to go looking at Kilman is the first one. The debut win there. The rating was only a head off any of the highest ratings coming into this field, which is West of Swindon and Skyhook in the Skyline. And looked really good doing so. Pushed up the inside when it got the opportunity, and Shin goes on board for Waller. That's a great combination for mine. And the other one that I'm going to look at is Dusty Bay, which you mentioned, coming off that really poor provincial area. But the rating produced by Tracy Butler's runner there was only half a length off the peak coming into this race as well. And we're getting $24 for that runner, who looked to do it reasonably well. You want to be doing so in the provincials when you're coming into town like this, but that's exactly what he did. So happy to play those at $11 Kilman, $24 Dusty Bay. So very small specs, but in a 2-year-old race, which seems to be lacking talent, I'm happy to go with them.
Yep. Not reading into James McDonald on United States, obviously the Coolmore connection there. Kilman, I can see. Barry 1, Blake Shin, nice winner. Didn't trial brilliantly, trialled well, but didn't trial brilliantly and had a lot of market support there, so I can concede that. Couldn't possibly back a horse at Rosehill off a grafting win, but good luck. Liam, that sums up the race. Magic Night Stakes for the fillies. Is this any easier, Liam?
Sponsored by our dear friends at Racing and
Yes.
Sports.
Thank you.
Yeah, Trent right next to us.
Cha-ching.
Now, another one that they haven't jumped off the page here, so I'm going to go to the Bjorn Baker runner, which raced at Canterbury a couple of Friday nights ago. The race didn't look to set up particularly well from the outside gate. There was a Freedman horse in it who's actually racing in this as well, I think by the name of Gambers, which was off the map late, which meant Strata Verena that we're talking about here just held its place in the market around that $4, $4.50 mark. But boy, it was impressive. Like she's a really nice type, this filly. The first ever trial went back in the field. J-Mac was on and ran through them and over the top.
Great sign.
Really good sign. And then had a small let up, came back and had 2 trials where she was able to sit on the speed and show a really nice kick about the 300 or 200. So that adaptability is something that's obviously terrific to see. And then went to Canterbury from the outside barrier, was able to cross them all, go to the front, challenged around about the 400 metres again, and just really found another gear and kicked away. Great way to see it happening. I like Strata Verena to be too good for the rest of the fillies here.
Any opinion on the race, Trent?
Yeah, I'm going to be backing Strata Verena as well. That race that she won rated quite well. We've got her going at Racing Sports 102, which is pretty much the second best performance in this field. Mimo has run slightly better, but it was, in that Magic Millions race where she ran second, and I think that form's garbage anyway. So
you say that, but it kept stacking up. Like everyone thought it was garbage at the time, and the
I still think
kept
if you're running pretty much up to that rating off a debut win, I want to be with you because it's bringing that different form. And the other one as well that I thought comes through another Canterbury race that could run well is number 9 Dreamside for Gerald Ryan and Sterling Alexia. Hit the line well there for second to Mahuna, who came out and performed well against some of these better fillies last start. She finished second to Tempted. I think that's solid form for this. So yeah, I thought that was a decent run, and she's $21 or thereabouts for Dreamside. So they're the two that I'd be looking to play off the kind of Canterbury form instead of this group form.
Also beat Autumn Blonde in that race, and Autumn Blonde is $10 here, and Dreamside's $21. So it can certainly see your point there.
Couldn't back horses love leading at Canterbury, coming to Metro Sydney with confidence, and for that reason I'm with number 2 Artistic Venture, but I say that with a caveat of I'm scared stiff of the track. This horse will get back. She probably doesn't need to get as far back as she did last start. She jumped from a wide barrier, got the massive check if you look at the overhead there, and then ended up going and getting a long way back. But she savaged the line. She ran the fastest 1,600, 400 of that race. Incredible run. Is there a bigger jockey change? Ronan Whelan off, J-Mac on. I don't think you could possibly get a bigger jockey change.
Kerry McAvoy or J-Mac on's probably a bit better.
Ronan Whelan or McAvoy? Who are you taking?
Give me Ronan Keating any day of the week.
So for that, I think 1,200, obviously sticking at 1,200. I think depends on the track, but J-Mac might be able to slot in, find a nice enough position. If they're making ground down the middle, this horse wins, and that's the way I see the race. So, we'll just see. Great advertisement for late mail in the Betfair app, and this is the stuff you look for when you follow some of our late mail providers. This track bias, this track pattern, latest up-to-date information. So jump on the Betfair app and follow for late mail. There's quite a few contributors there that do it now. So get the latest up-to-date information on all your plays at Betfair. Let's move on there to the Sky High Stakes, and we talk about small fields of fascinating races with in Caulfield. This only a 7-horse field, but a very interesting race, Liam.
It certainly is. You've got the likes of Lindemann, who is the favourite that picks himself. This horse has only been beaten by Via Sistina and Fangirl this preparation, and actually split the two of them first up, so going incredibly well. Gets up to the 2,000 metres here. Not much of a contest for the lead here. Arapaho is racing extremely well, deserves second favouritism. And then you throw in a horse like Vauban, a 2-miler, started favourite in the Melbourne Cup. First start for Waterhouse and Bott, and has showed some really encouraging signs in the trials over 1,000 and 1,200 metres. And so when I was doing this before the market came up, geez, if we get $11 or $12 here about this, 2-miler, it might be a bet. And they've opened up $4, second favourite. So
nature of the race, really.
Yeah, I think you have to be against it, that sort of price, but scared stiff of the horse. But I don't think you can go past Lindemann here. Does everything right, goes to the front. Last autumn had the exact same lead-up races to a lesser degree of this, and didn't go quite as well as this year, and then went to a completely new peak in this race when won by 4 lengths in a career peak rating. So if you follow that formula, the $2.60 we're getting currently actually starts to look really good. So hard to beat Lindemann for mine in this race.
He just does look the obvious, doesn't he? He just ticks every possible box here. Great form, up and going, fit, up on speed, natural willer, no speed, no chases. As you said, won this race last year. Like so many boxes, but gee, I'm scared of Vauban. What are you thinking?
No, I'm really keen on Lindemann here. I thought he was going to be odds on. I looked at the early markets and thought, I've missed the price. The market's been up for half an hour and he was still sitting at $2.40. So this preparation, like you said, Liam, compared to last preparation, I think he's going better. The first up run in the Apollo was a slowly run race, and I thought he stuck on from where he was. He did well. Second up in the Very Elegant Stakes, they actually ran it at a pretty solid clip, and he's again stuck on really well, like you said, only being beaten by Via Sistina and Fangirl. So we've got him running 2 ratings better than what he did in those first 2 runs last preparation before he went to that peak in this race last year where he went 120. He's matched that in these 2 runs leading up this time in. Not necessarily that he needs to make any more improvement from what he's done. I think he can just hold his form, rolls to the front, and has these stayers behind him that just won't be able to get near him off an uncontested lead. So, yeah, I thought he'd be kind of more $1.70, $1.80 chance. I think there's a really good edge in backing Lindemann on Saturday. And
if Vauban just comes out and wins, you just shake your head and say losing bet.
Yeah, you've just got to cop it with
Yep.
Gay and Adrian. Yeah, I think 2,000 off a slow tempo will be too sharp for him. I
The
couldn't
slow
have him.
tempo is a great shout. That's a very good comment, because he trialled up, and they obviously campaigns and new trainers, they do inject a lot of speed without a fight. Comes to mind, running some incredible sectionals. But this horse, he hasn't run well over he has run well over similar distances, but he hasn't had many attempts at it, which is fascinating. They've just went straight to 3,200 and stayed over 3,000 for a long period of his career.
Well, he kind of started out on the flat 2,000, but then he became such a good hurdler. He was a multiple grade 1 winning hurdler, and then they brought him back to the flat where he was a kind of 2,800, 3,200 meter horse. So
they do things differently over there, though.
Yeah, it is different, and yeah, it's tough to really line him up. But even looking at his peak ratings, they're kind of in line with what Lindemann's been running. Vauban hasn't really lived up to some of the market prices that he's come out here for, and his Ascot form is probably maybe a touch better than what Lindemann's running, but it's not the scenario for him on Saturday, I don't think.
And you think about it, if a horse like Chaywolf with a brilliant turn of foot can't get past Lindemann on a slow tempo, what chance is Vauban to do that?
Great shout. You might have taught me into Lindemann, you guys. Let's move on. The Group 2 Phar Lap Stakes for the 3-year-olds, 1,500 metre race. A few fillies engaged here, which is interesting. Not a race I'm keen to dive into. We'll start with you, Trent.
Yeah, I think the form to follow is through the surround. We spoke about that last week or the week before with Lady Shenandoah. They ran a really good time figure. That was the second best surround stakes that we've seen in history. So I think that's naturally the form that you want to follow in the market. Obviously, has identified that as well. Lazura and Declici Boulevard are the two for Waller, who I think he's won 7 of the last 10 of this race with a filly. So he loves targeting this race with his fillies. I thought Declici Boulevard was good last start in the surround. She didn't have the best of luck. She got held up a little bit and kind of she was always just in between runners. She never got a really good crack at them until the last 100. I thought she found the line well. 1,500 metres I think will suit her much better. And she gets J-Mac on as well, which is very significant. So I thought Lazura had the perfect run there in behind and was still solid. I think Declici Boulevard can turn the tables, but there's not much between them.
5th jockey in 6 starts for Declici Boulevard. Liam, what do you make of the race?
Yeah, J-Mac could be the one out of the 5th that I'd want to be with, but
Not Joe?
no,
Yeah.
not for mine. But Lazura, I've got marked favourite here. I could be, if Declici Boulevard was $6 and Lazura was $4, then sure, maybe. But they're both currently at $3.40, same price mark. I have to be with Lazura as the horse is going to be in front of Declici Boulevard in the run. And J-Mac is a star, yes, but I'd always take that horse that has the map advantages and is going to be near the front. And again, we don't have a stack of speed. Like Spaceballs will lead from gate 10, but that horse is going to be heavily outclassed here. And Flying From Above will be next in line to take that. And I think Lazura draws perfectly to be that first pair back. So of the two, I'd be leaning towards Lazura, but it's a no-bet race for mine.
Fair enough. Let's move on to a race I think we're all somewhat keen to play in race 7. The Reese McCarten Stakes, 1,100 metres. A couple of very interesting runners here, I thought, and a couple of fresh. Liam, you can kick things off.
Yeah, this is going to be Charge of the Light Brigade, as we say. Where what would they go like? Oakley Platers, something like that. But the speed map here is absolutely fascinating. There's 6 horses who don't know how to do anything but lead. So it'll be fascinating where they all end up. I think.
What 6 have you got? Do you have any?
So Time to Boogie Barrier 1, I think, will probably get that lead if all things being equal. Felix Majestic loves to lead, but over the 1,100 does quite have the lead to get across. I think probably sits outside Time to Boogie. And then Insurrection's another one, which is drawn barrier 11, who I think will probably have to take that 3 wide line at the top, which leaves the next trio of the Face, who lacks the class of these, but just doesn't have any chance if they go back. So they're going to try and be at the front as well. Mogo Magic sits behind Felix Majestic, and then Eagle Nest, who I think is going extremely well, this horse. If it's got any chance, I want it to sit 3 wide with cover behind Insurrection. But, they're the 6 that I've got at the front. I think if it was over a bit further, Coal Crusher might try and push to take them on. Yep. But over the 1,100, first up, I think we'll probably happily concede that and just sit 3rd pair back. And then you've got the remainder. You got P&LO back. Omni-Man could have potentially challenged for the speed in the past, but there's no need to do that here. Quick Tempo sat outside the leader last start and actually produced really well, but does have a really nice turn of foot, so no need to get involved in the battle. And Perspiration, who was last seen beating Gatsby's over 1,100, yet I haven't been able to find any public trials or jump out. So who knows what's going on with that horse? I'll certainly be worried, but there was an outside of that day, 5-horse field, $15 mark. I'm happy to more so take that runner on here, but Jesus, looks a cracking speed map. If
it's short and it's in the market, Perspiration, you'd be scared. So with that map, you've said Eagle Nest wide cover. You're happy to be with the mare? Yeah,
Eagle Nest is someone that I'd have marked a really decent favourite here. If I wasn't so worried about that 3 wide running line and being caught wide. She was absolutely superb last preparation, really went to another level. And has trialled Narcy here. It's just like we're going to need Rachel King to produce something pretty special. But on ratings alone, I'm still got her marked top of the market, and we're getting $12 currently to find out. So it's a good each way bet for me, but with the caveat that we are going to need luck, but we're getting the price to find out.
What I love about Eagle Nest is 1,100 metres, and I think it's such a distance for pet distance for horses. Horses that run well at 11 generally always run well at 1,100, and 5 wins in her career all come at the 1,100. So incredible 2 from 3 at this track and trip. You make a good case, and I don't mind the setup for that horse with Rachel King. I think that's a happy place, just blending into the race out wide. We saw her run really well and some good rides for Godolphin, and that was her style, just to peel out, come down the middle and run home and stay balanced. So, yep, great case for Eagle Nest there from Liam. Who do you like here, Trent?
Well, I found it an open race, but I think the hole in the market is Pisanello. I think he's just way too short as favourite, and the market has drifted him out early. 3 from 3 last campaign, that looks good on paper. Racing and Sports haven't really got him actually improving any of his runs. His ratings kind of just held thereabouts, and those 3 ratings, looking at kind of the historical standard of this race, none of them will be good enough to win even the lowest rating edition of this race.
Wow.
And typically he'd need to improve around 10 to 12 pounds, 2 or 3 lengths at least to be getting into the finish. And he meets a horse like Time to Boogie, who's second favourite at level weights, who's rated significantly higher than him. So, yeah, I just couldn't get him as short as this in the market. Even Time to Boogie probably at $4 is short enough as well. But 340 or thereabouts for Pisanello, I think he should be at least double that. And if you want to spec something at double figures like an Eagle Nest, I wouldn't talk you out of it whatsoever.
So you're playing the race to lay Pisanello?
Just lay Pisanello, yeah. Yep. I couldn't find the winner, but if we back the loser and lay the loser, that's fine as well.
That's the beauty of Betfair. Synthetic hoof filler first time. You're laying Pisanello as well?
I am. Trina and I, singing from the same hymn book, took the words out of my mouth from everything there. So, yeah, I agreed. I use a different rating system, but would have to improve close to 2 lengths on Korea Peak to be winning this race, and that's even with giving him a little boost in the ratings because of the race map setting up so well for him getting back in the field with such a strong tempo up top. So, very happy to take on Pisanello, and an Eagle Nest hopefully gets the job done.
Very I've been burnt by some Godolphin horses first up off decent trials lately, so I won't be stepping into Pisanello there. I can spec Felix Majestic here. The map worries me a little bit. As you said, he's got speed over 1,300 metres and whatnot. He showed a lot of speed in that barrier trial win at Warwick Farm. So I do think he can settle outside lead. I like the booking Josh Phar, a positive jockey as well. If he could find a nice position, he's yet duck eggs from 4 first up runs, but I went through and had a look at them. Most of those fresh runs, you're actually over 1,000, 1,100, and he got back, which is interesting. But he's had run some decent races. Just thought at $14, as you guys said, Pisanello is short enough. A couple of the favourites are short enough. I'm happy to spec something like a Felix Majestic, who will be up and in, and I think he's here to run well. So that'll do me. Fascinating market watch on number 11, Perspiration. I had a big opinion of Gatsby's when that horse got beaten by Perspiration. Market watch, no public trials, no jump outs across the border either. Very interesting market watch there in the Phar Lap Stakes. All right, time for the Group 1, guys. The Group 1 fillies and mares, Coolmore Classic, 1,500 metres. 3-year-olds have a decent record in the race over a long period. They won 8 of the last 31, but they haven't won since 2009 when Typhoon Tracy won the race. So it's been a long time between drinks for the 3-year-old fillies in the Coolmore Classic, but they do have Lady Shenandoah, Lady of Camelot, right up there in the market. Speed map, just Grinzinger Bell going hell for leather again here, Liam?
Yes, yeah, you'd have to assume Grinzinger Bell gets across to the lead. There was a few rumours that Lady of Camelot wouldn't get the 1,400 metres last start this round, but boy, did she quash that day.
Who's saying that?
Pretty sure I was saying that at the time.
Waterhouse spot, up in distance, tick.
Obviously, another 100 metres here, but you would assume also crosses from barrier 14 rather than going back. So they'll sit there. Sounds of Heaven will do its best to kick up and hold behind the lead, I think, from barrier 4. Amelia's Jules comes across from barrier 6 quite well and showed with a bit of tactical versatility last start can do that. So 1-1 would be the prime spot for the top weight here, Amelia's Jewel. And then it's up to J-Mac to try and find somewhere special for Lady Shenandoah to get somewhere in the run.
This is an incredible setup here for the 2 favourites. So you got 2 horses coming off wins on the same day, Amelia's Jewel, Lady Shenandoah. Both won races at Randwick, as I said, on March 1st. It was over 1,400 metres. So same track, same distance, same day. 3 seconds difference in time, and Lady Shenandoah beat Amelia's Jewel's time by close to 3 seconds. That's incredible. And the setups are fascinating as well. So Amelia's Jewel, 15.6 lengths slower than class benchmark to the 600, whereas they went quite quickly in the Lady Shenandoah win. So different setups coming here. I'm fascinated to hear your thoughts on what the market will do, the times and ratings guys will do off those 2 lead-ups with the 2 favourites, Liam.
Well, Lady Shenandoah comes up at $2.50 here. Had she drawn a gate, I think that's pretty fair. Yep. I think that's about the right mark. There's a bit that goes into trying to translate what those tempos actually come out to here, but the only thing you can really do is try and predict the tempo that will be run in this race and then figure out how they'll go from there. I think it's a pretty even tempo. I think it'll be run. It's just whether Lady Shenandoah gets enough cover. I couldn't possibly back her, even though she's looks to be a budding star, as we've gone through many times, but there's been a lot of potential star fillies in the last 15 years since 2009, and none of them have been able to get the job done. So I definitely can't step in at the $2.50. So for that reason, I'll be laying early. And if we do see $3 plus, $3.50 late, I think, you can happily trade back in and get rid of your liability there. But at the $2.50 now, I can't possibly. For that reason, I'll be speccing those a little bit longer in the market.
Yep.
Alentia is one that I'll have something on it at 20 plus. She's got that massive rating over 1500 in the Emancipation. And Alentia it didn't even take any sort of part in the race last start, sitting back on that slow tempo with Amelia's Jewel. So happy to put a line through there and go on previous 1500 meter form. And the other one is Elsefina in the race. I think gets a perfect draw to sit nice and close behind them. Much better suited up to the 1500, gets a nice race. But yeah, it is a cracking race with many different views. But I'll be laying Lady Shenandoah as of now, and small specs on Alentia and Elsefina.
Yeah, I can't have Lady Shenandoah at the price either. The barrier scares me. J-Mac, obviously. Do they let him slot in and get his back and give their horse the best chance and just follow Lady Shenandoah into the race? I don't know. They do that a fair bit. I'd love to see some competitive riding against J-Mac and keep this horse out wide and make it do it tough. That's why I love the ride of Craig Williams last week on Mr. Brightside. You don't see that very often these days, and I'd love to see more of it. Manal was good in that lead-up, I thought. Ran 5th, dropped 6 kilos, meets 3.5 kilos better. I'm not making a case for Manal, but it's just dropped 6 kilos for that, meets Lady Shenandoah 3.5 kilos. I've got to give that some credence and put a number to Manal to get Lady Shenandoah that short, so I can't do it. I tend to agree with you, Liam, regarding Lady Shenandoah. I have her tipped on top, but I don't want to take the price. Trent, over to you.
Yeah, I think she's too short as well, and I spoke about her in depth on one of the previous shows. I think she's very good. That surround win was fantastic. Looking at kind of the 3-year-olds with the weight that they've carried in this race as well. So you've got the likes of Typhoon Tracy and Tuesday Joy going back a few years. Carried 53 kilos, and Typhoon Tracy 51. So Lady Shenandoah at weight for age, 54.5 kilos as a filly she's carrying about 4 kilos or something above weight for age. So it's not an easy task for her. I think at this stage of their careers, Lady Shenandoah is rated higher than those horses. They both improved a fair bit. I think Lady Shenandoah potentially will have to again as well. And to back her at that $2.40 it's tough to get her that short, I think, in this market. The two that I'm kind of looking at through the Melbourne form is number 7, Cua Volante. Dominant last start at Caulfield. She won by 4 lengths, ran to a new peak rating of 116, which is pretty much in line with what Lady Shenandoah's kind of run last start. Maybe not with the upside to come as much, but meeting a better, similar weights, but better at weight for age as an older mare. And the other one is Marble Arch. Again, ran a really good rating last start, winning the Blamey 117, which is what Lady Shenandoah's run. Again, at weight for age, meets her much better at the weights. Both coming off fast time figures like Lady Shenandoah has. So if this does turn into a strongly run race, I think they're better equipped to run it out strongly than a horse like Amelia's Jewel, who has to give them more weight off the slow tempo. So they're the two I think I'll look to back, Marble Arch and Cua Volante, but Lady Shenandoah could come out and kill them. She was really heavily backed to win that surround as well. She started at $1.30 or something. The market just loves her. So
the World Tote race, was it?
Yeah, probably. So yeah, I'm not surprised that she's been backed early and she's a bit of a hype horse, but I can't get her quite that short. Yes,
you make a good case for Cua Volante. Gets that right run from Barrier 1. Karen McAvoy, Liam's favourite jockey, on board. This only 5 starts ago, Cua Volante had a short SP. I think it was 350 against Kamachi and Jolie Star. So always had that ability and a bit of hype around her, and the market liked her, and she came back and returned enormous there. So I could definitely make a case, and she goes into quaddies, Cua Volante. I just wanted her a little bit longer. I thought $10 was about her right price. I was hoping she'd be a bit shorter there. Okay, that's the Group 1. So just recapping, you're against Lady Shenandoah at the price, laying now, potentially chopping out later if she drifts a bit, and with a couple of roughies.
Yeah, Ledger and Elsefina for me.
Yep, and Trent?
Cua Volante and Marble Arch for me.
Very good. Let's move on to race 9, a 1,500 metre Group 2, the Ajax Stakes. Looks good speed. Glinter Silver's been scratched. Takes a bit of speed out of the race, but just fine. If he has finished his Melbourne Cup run to make it here in time, he might be leading. What do you make of the race?
Yeah, just fine to lead and come across. Doesn't know any other way. Willow Doe from Barrier 12. Sit outside the lead there. New Endeavour gets a really nice race in behind there. Pericles, again, the same. With Your Blessing has gone to another level. This preparation is racing so consistently, but Barrier 15 is going to be such a tough impasse there. So likely to get caught 3 wide, and the likes of Iona Merck, who's racing particularly well at the moment, and Ducasse as well is one that I'll be keen to chat about. Barrier 1 will need some luck at some point, but down there on the rail, probably 3 pairs back.
How on earth did Iona Merck win that race last start?
Still no idea how With Your Blessing didn't get the nod.
Oh, that's unbelievable. 3 key lead ups, that Liverpool City Cup, as you mentioned, the Pericles Freedom Rally through the Futurity is a key lead up, and then obviously that's Benchmark 100, which we saw Ducasse come through, returning gelded and won. Trent, you want to kick off with who you like in the Group 2?
I found this really tough, to be honest. I couldn't really find a bet. I thought Ducasse at the weights gets in quite well, given that last start rating. On our kind of weight adjusted ratings, that's the best last start performance. Probably needs to improve again, but you'd think that he probably could. When I first looked at the market, I thought, okay, maybe wanting to find Pericles here off the poor run first up in the Futurity. I think he had some excuses. I think he had a bleed as well, but the market's kind of just ignored that, and he's still $5 or $5.50. I thought if we were getting kind of $10 or thereabouts, that he could be one to bounce back with JMac on, but I don't think we're really getting the price to do so. So
it's a JMac tax.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I thought the one that I'd be against is Iona Merck off that run. Got the bob in last up, but now to 1,500 meters, getting up in the weights looks short enough for me, but I couldn't really find a back bet at least.
I'm shocked that Lamb's taking a big stand against Pericles here, mate. Yet to miss a top 2 finish, second up from 5 starts. He loves the track. He's a class gallop against JMac on, and you're laying him to place.
Yeah, up in the weights here, like comes in at the top weights. Freedom Rally cruised past him last start in the Futurity.
I wouldn't say cruised.
Go back and watch it. He cruised past him.
I don't know about that.
And then on top of that,
he went past him.
Gets a 2.5 kilo weight swing as well, and we're half the price in the market. It just seems way too short here at under $6, and then we're getting $2.30 to play. So I'm happy to take Pericles on both win and place here, most the place. And I'm glad Trent has given a bit of a push for Ducasse because, geez, I'm keen on this runner. He's really starting to hit his straps now. As you say, that rating last start off the gelding is such a good push to say he's come back really well from the operation. That was full of merit. Rating was great. His peak ratings have come over the mile on the 2000, and that was first up at 14. That the extra distance is only going to help here. Yes, I think we'll need some luck at some point from gate 1, but I think that's the only thing we'll need. I think has these covered at these weights, and I think the $5 is actually a really generous price. So Ducasse will be one of my best of the day, and then keen to take on Pericles in this race.
I don't want to take on Ducasse. Barrier 1 scares me because if it gets the right run, it can win. Obviously, I mentioned good rating. I just didn't like the form through the Benchmark 100 and was happy to be against that kind of form. Obviously, returned and did enough as a gelding. But I've never had a huge opinion of the horse, and I didn't have a huge opinion of that Benchmark 100 leading into that race. I don't like any of the key lead-ups here, so I've gone looking away from them. There are a lot of horses intertwined. I can make a case for a horse like New Energy. Liked his Warwick Farm trial leading in. He has a class to run a really good race here. Hit the line well. Fresh in a Theo Marks last campaign, second in a Group Liverpool, Group 3 Liverpool over that trip, went first up in Australia as well. Second up last campaign, started $6 or $5.50 in a Group 2 Shirako at this track and trip, was wide, ran well. Brings different form, can make a case for him, and I'll be specking him. Now, this is a horse I always tip. I love the horse, and I can hear Nick Foot laughing at me, but I'm going to make a case for Von Hawk here, guys.
I'm guessing you're going to mention the Shaftesbury Avenue win.
Yes, 100% I am, because it's the same setup. Won the Shaftesbury Avenue, beat Amenable. That form is good enough for a race like this. Produced a good rating in the Doncaster Prelude, but it's all about the setup here, because first up, 1,100 metres. It's first up 1,200 metres at Moonee Valley. So when he won the Shaftesbury Avenue second up, he was 11 to 14. Improved significantly his career peak rating, second up 1,400 metres. So he went 1,100 to 1,400 metres there. First up to second up. He's 1,200 to 1,500, a year older. He couldn't have done any more, and I don't know if you've looked at that sectionals. He couldn't have done any more in that race, 1,200 metres. It was a firm deck. I thought he'd run on better than he did on the night, and I thought he'd run really well. But he ran the fastest 600 and 400 split of the meeting there. So he just had to work so hard to get into that race. It was a slowly run race. the leader's kicked, and he couldn't have run any better. So up to 1,500 metres, second up, you're getting $40. You'll get 60s on Betfair potentially. He's run fifth in a Doncaster Prelude first time around Sydney way of going. I think it'd be much better for that experience, and it's a race that I don't like any of the lead-ups. So $40, $50, $60 Von Hawk each way, and New Energy for me there. How did I go with making the case?
No, I absolutely cannot poke any holes in Von Hawk at that sort of price, and I actually agree with you somewhat there. New Energy, I love to see a little bit of intent in that trial. That was so good to see. They were happy to push forward. However, first up, wide barrier, Karen McAvoy, and I can't imagine they'll be pushing forward, unfortunately. I would have loved to see it draw a gate and go forward, but it just has a poor setup. So I'd be happy to stick with you on Von Hawk, but it might be next up for New Energy. Just
Karen McAvoy's turned you off everything there. All right, let's get to the Hamburger Club.
Order up!
I'll start, and I'm doing it in the Lindemann race. No, not the Lindemann race. The Zardozi race in Melbourne. I'm happy to lay Zardozi. I'll stick my neck out and have Pride of Jenny on top leaders in a 1,800 metre fast track at Caulfield. So Pride of Jenny, backable price now, and if she doesn't win, she doesn't win. It's just like that. But Zardozi, backmarker, firm deck, inside barrier, Jamie Carr, Jamie Mellum, 1 from 14 on a good track, plenty to be against, and way too short for mine. So I think it's just that short because there's not much else in the race, and Pride of Jenny is that other one. So that's mine. Trent, your Hamburger.
Yeah, I'm going back to the Sky High, the Lindemann race. I think he's a great bet, Lindemann. I marked him deep into the red here. I thought he's an odds-on chance, $2.40 or thereabouts is a great bet. And to be honest, I'm that keen on him that I could almost lay anything. But the one that I think is too short is Land Legend. I think you're paying a bit of JMac tax there. So it comes through the very elegant, finished out the tail, didn't really do a whole lot. And I think he'll need more ground and a stronger tempo to be any kind of factor here. So he's $5.50. It's, I can lay him the place that'll be top 2 in the market, and he's about $2.50, top 2 or thereabouts. It's just way too short. He's a double figure chance any day of the week.
That's a good Hamburger. Liam, yours is a meal deal here.
Yeah, going back to the Ajax that we
like
just
this.
discussed. Ducasse, take the BSP. Really keen on that horse, and be laying Pericles the place in that race, about 210.
Love it. Love it. Best bets, Liam. Don't forget your Morpheville one.
Stick with it, Ducasse. Really keen there in the Ajax. Pianello, best lay of the day. And the Ned Taylor, Aaron Bain train over in SA. We are Morpheville, race 7, number 2, Dubai Focus.
Reckon your best bet will be Lindemann?
Certainly is, yeah, Lindemann. And $26 for the Australian Cup has been floating around this week as well. I think that's the sneaky way he's going. So hopefully wins this by 5 and shortens in a little bit there.
Small spec, Felix Majestic here in the Maurice McCarten race 7. I found the Group 1 very tricky. Backing Von Hawk and New Energy at a bit of value there in the Ajax as well. Tough day for me. I found it very hard. So good luck. Anything else to add? Anything to finish on?
Strong day.
Good luck. Next week's going to be a ripper. Golden Slipper. Thanks for joining us on Layback with Betfair. Stay ahead of the game with the most up-to-date betting insights, track conditions and bias, scratchings, late market moves and more. When it comes to betting, having the most up-to-date information can make all the difference. That's why we've introduced Betfair's Late Mail, the most informed tipping service on the market. Delivered by pros like John Walter, Glenn Ingram, Sean Byrne and Bella Anderson, Late Mail provides expert insights closer to the jump, helping you adjust your strategy with the latest information and data at your fingertips. Late Mail is exclusive in the Betfair app, so simply open the app, follow Late Mail tipsters and enable notifications to be ready when our pros send in their late bets. Stay informed, stay ahead, bet smarter with Late Mail.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.